Yes. It's Friday. I'm 13 hours away from bottle service. Welcome, it's Balloon Party, 101 ESPN. Served by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. My name is Timothy Michael McKernan. I'm joined by a gentleman named Jackson Bennett Burkett, and he just tipped his cap to the YouTube cameras. Happy Friday, Bishing About Sports says in the YouTube chat. Good morning, says, is that Dinksy?
That looks like Dinksy.
Yeah. I only tune into Balloon Party. I don't know how you guys do it. That's Dan Jansen. I don't know what he's talking about. I only tune into Balloon Party. I don't know how you guys do it.
Might be referencing some of the other YouTube commentators being on all the shows, like being in the YouTube chat.
Like watching Joey Vitale was on for 2 hours with us on TMA today.
Right. Or, BK and Ferrario, then to Fastlane.
Right.
People being omnipresent, which we appreciate.
Yeah, well, we do appreciate it. We're grateful for the listeners. Oh, John Scores is talking to Dan Jansen saying, TMA is great, Dan Jansen. Thank you, John Scores. We appreciate it. Joey Vitale was great on TMA this morning. He was great on Balloon Party yesterday, and he was on the tail end of the opening drive as well. We welcome you to participate in today's program with the six-shooter presented by Little Piddles. Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. And, of course, the 101 ESPN channel on YouTube. And I don't know how, but somebody knows my tea time today. How is that possible? I do have a new. I'm not sure, Jackson. It's either 11:40 or 12:20. But as I look to the southern skies here in Creve Coeur, Missouri, they look threatening, and I see that there's rain in the forecast.
Is that right?
And Jackson, you have a tea time at St. Louis today at 3:50. Is that right? 3:51.
I have to go late. Some of these guys I play with, they're like, "Well, you have to work." I'm like,
"Oh, you got a board meeting?"
Oh, I'm like, "Well, it's Friday. You get off at noon. What are we talking about here?"
I don't even know. Do people work on Fridays? Like at your club?
Well,
do people work at all?
It's so, by quarter, some Q3 is oftentimes where people are really getting into work. So Q4, they can take some more time.
I see.
Swiss Alps and such.
All right. Jackson, you've got the six-shooter prepared today before you go out and play probably 27 at St. Louis this afternoon.
350 playing 27.
Well, you play at a good clip.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what you got. Because any night that included the ESPYs, and then you get to do the show the next day, this is where the producers are in their keep. This is with you and Rockio and T. Diddy and Marshy and his Playful Posse. It's where you earn your keep. So I'm anxious to see what you got. I know it's macro season because it can't not be. Double negative, but it worked.
You ready?
Yeah, you're damn right I'm ready.
Could one make the argument that the best move for the Cardinals right now is to do absolutely nothing?
Oh, God.
What? Well, let me lay out the case.
I know, but it just takes me back to 16, 17, and 18, and I don't like it. But I understand. Go ahead.
All right. We've established that the likely candidates to trade for would be a number 2 level starter or a powerful right-handed bat in the outfield. Here are some other teams looking to grab a quality starter or a powerful outfield bat. The Phillies, Yankees, Dodgers, Braves, Padres, Brewers, Giants, Astros, and the Guardians.
Yeah, smaller budgets.
Every single one of those teams, minus the Astros and Braves, have a better ranked farm system and prospect pools than the Cardinals. What player that would be attractive enough to get you that number 2 starter ahead of any of those other teams? But more so than that, are you trading said player at their lower or higher value? What I'm saying is that if you think this team is good enough to get into the playoffs, why not just roll with it and not try to outbid teams with deeper pockets and deeper farm systems?
Okay, there's a lot of meat on the bone, per usual. I'm pausing intentionally. When you ask specific players, that can kind of be a trump card if you're doing a sports talk radio argument thing. Yeah. Well, who would you bring him in to coach? And I can provide a recent example of how I didn't see a move coming for a move that I loved, and I think most Cardinal fans would agree was a damn good move. I thought so in the moment. I think even with the benefit of results, I think you would agree. Maybe people would say otherwise. I don't know. I had no idea Jordan Montgomery was in play in 2022, and I was a big Jordan Montgomery fan. I loved what the Cardinals did at the 2022 trade deadline, and I went into it expecting to be disappointed. So that's an example of a team trading a player who the Cardinals absolutely could utilize, for the record, coming from a team that was not a last-place team.
No.
Yankees were a playoff team. So the the reason why I provide that recent history excerpt from less than 2 years ago is because I don't really know who's in play. And the idea that the Yankees were going to trade away a guy who the Cardinals wound up using in their brief 2-game playoff appearance is something that I could have never seen coming. On top of it, a guy that I, was a big fantasy baseball geek, was like, oh, I love Jordan Montgomery. God, and they got him for Harrison Bader. Holy crap.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The reason why I hate the do nothing thing is I really believe that the recent Cardinals struggles, or not even struggles, I realized last year would certainly be struggles, but kind of blah 16 to present day, because they've won one series in that time, and that was the Braves in 19 in the NLDS, is because of standing pat in 16, 17, and 18 at the deadline. And you're kind of like, all right, we'll see if we can get in, and then see if we can make a run. I understand it. I actually think the expansion of the playoffs has played a role in the lessening of the trade deadline, because so many teams are in it that they don't want to put themselves in a spot where they alienate the fan base or the team by selling. So with that all established, the reality is for the Cardinals this year, I think it's a different set of circumstances, so I have to check myself than 16, 17, and 18. The main reason being in 16, 17, 18, 6 teams didn't get in.
Yeah.
Secondarily, the Cardinals have played winning baseball for almost 2 months. And as it stands at the moment, this certainly can change. They're in the mix not only for a wild card spot, but also even if you're going to say they're not a great team, they're still in the mix for a division championship. It's a different set of circumstances than there being like a clear great team and you're only playing for a wild card spot. I don't think the Brewers are a great team. And the Cardinals, even if you did think they were a great team, then that would be a compliment to the Cardinals that they're only 5 games back, especially considering the start to the season. However, I just don't know. I mean, I guess it can happen because the Cardinals got to a World Series in 2004 without a great rotation. Chris Carpenter was hurt by the time they got to the playoffs. And they navigated a world championship with really only one really good October starter in 2011. Now, he was pitching like every other game, but still, they were able to pull that off. So my 2 pieces of prejudice that I'm trying to reason through here. Number one, the playoff system is different than it was in 16, 17, and 18, and I really don't like 16, 17, and 18, and when there was inactivity, whether it be buying or selling, there wasn't much of any. And then also that just because we've seen teams with 2 great starters, for the most part, navigate the baseball postseason in recent years, that doesn't mean that's the only way to do it. But the reason I bring that up is I don't feel like the Cardinals have 2 great starters.
Yeah.
Could you see the Cardinals win one of those best of 3 goofball series that they do with Sonny Gray and I don't know who you'd go with at this moment? Who would you go with? This changes week by week, which kind of tells you.
I'd still go Michaelis on the consistency thing, because when he's good, he's really good, and the few times he's bad, he's just really bad, and that carries his ERA in a certain way. But he leads the team in quality starts.
So I think you make a fair point. Even though I hate sitting around,
right,
for lack of a term, I just can't go back to the Jordan Walker thing and be like, yeah, trade him.
Right.
The Greg Amsinger interview yesterday on the opening drive has people, not just in St. Louis, but around the game talking. Jackson, you have that audio right here for our audience. I'm sure some of you have heard this. But I think it's worth replaying. It's the first time we've discussed it on this program. Here it is.
I'm going to be honest with you. The name Jordan Walker is extremely polarizing at MLB Network. Our analysts, our former players, are adamant that the Cardinals screwed him up, messed him up. They can't stand the way the Jordan Walker saga has played out. All the way back to when he was sent down because they wanted to launch the ball in the air more. Our baseball purists, the guys that broke into the league in the 80s and played long careers successfully hitting baseballs, they hated that approach. Finally, you have this large athlete who is a hit-for-average guy. And we saw that work out fine for Frank Thomas back in the day, Jermaine Dye back in the day, Matt Holliday, for crying out loud, back in the day, large, physical right-handed bats that weren't necessarily dead pull trying to hit homers every AB. So they couldn't stand the mental approach that they wanted Jordan Walker to have at the plate, and they think it messed him up, and it screwed up his evolution as a hitter. So from all of the guys I've talked to, they would love to see Jordan Walker in a different organization. They would love to see this talent get an opportunity somewhere else. And I teeter-totter back and forth thinking that the Cardinals are still the organization that will pull the best out of him. But the longer he stays in the minor leagues and the longer they stunt his growth, I'm starting to lean towards my pals at MLB Network regarding Jordan Walker's future in St. Louis.
Greg Amsinger yesterday on the opening drive. And certainly that interview clip has justifiably so gotten plenty of attention from Cardinal fans and also baseball fans in particular. Some other teams were like, oh, God, it'd be great if we could get Jordan Walker. I think no matter what, no matter what happens with Jordan Walker's career, Jordan Walker is going to be a pivotal moment on the Cardinal organization timeline. Just presenting what I think are, relatively speaking, obvious scenarios, but just for the sake of playing it out, let's say he never gets it going. And at some point, they're trading him away at an even lower value than he is right now. Dylan Carlson would be an example of that kind of thing. Although, as much hype as Dylan Carlson had, Jordan Walker had more. The only player I can think of that had comparable hype to Jordan Walker over the last 15 years would be Oscar Taveras. Or Walker gets it right and comes up and kills it. And he will be used as a precedent, not just by the Cardinals, but other organizations, of patience and not trying to force it out of a player who just isn't right. Or the Cardinals trade him, and either he never gets it right, and then the Cardinals are blamed for ruining him, or the Cardinals trade him, and he does get it right, and then you throw another log on the fire of a player who left the Cardinal organization and then went on to kill it. So when you have a player with this kind of not only expectation, but also there was performance there too. Granted, it was more significant in spring training, but he was the top prospect, not just for the Cardinals, but across the game. And he's languishing in AAA. It's a hell of a story. I just don't want to see them give up on him for what most likely is a best of three.
Yeah.
That's where I am.
Yep.
Of course, you can say absolutely if you'd like. I won't say absolutely just because I don't know what the return would be. My expectation is the return would be great. I think it was Doug Vaughn on TMA who did not think the return would be that great. I think the return would be great, even though I realize right now his value is at its all-time low. But I am not on board with them trading him. I don't think they would trade him, and my reasoning is, barring a big surprise, the Cardinals are going to be playing in the best of three, whether they win the Central or they're a wild card team. And to me, that is way too much of a crapshoot to trade a guy with Jordan Walker's potential. Jackson Burkett, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think because if you look at like Jordan Walker's career as a book, we're in the table of contents right now. He just turned 22 years old. I keep bringing this point up, but Derek Gould talks about it often, but big guys, Aaron Judge being the main example, when he was Jordan Walker's age, we're using aluminum bats against college pitchers. Jordan Walker's going up against AAA guys using wood bats. It's hard. Baseball's hard. It's hard to hit the ball. And so I just think he's so raw at the moment, and he has so much potential. And so many cases, you just have cases where the Cardinals were impatient with prospects, and they turned out to be great other places. Some of that could be chalked up to a change of scenery, but other times it's you were impatient. And I think with a guy like Walker, and I agree that the return would be awesome, and I think that's more of an example that he's so young and has so much potential. But you're right. If you're just doing it to maybe at best get a third spot, even if you're being super generous, a second spot, that still doesn't necessarily guarantee you going any further in the playoffs. Matter of fact, as you've referenced before, it can actually hurt you having those days off. So I just don't think it's worth it. I think the value of keeping him far outweighs what you could get from him for this year.
And just from, listen, maybe they're going to change it up. I don't know. But from pattern of past practice, the Cardinals trading somebody at their lowest value for a short-term fix. Don't get me wrong. The Cardinals, as it turned out, have traded plenty of people, and it looks like they were their lowest value. But I don't think these were players of this caliber with this kind of ceiling. It would be so off-brand. So I'm not expecting it, but man, maybe they're like, it didn't happen with this guy, and we got to get something for him while we can.
Yeah.
We'll find out in the next few weeks. It is 10:21 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. The program is called Balloon Party. It airs on 101 ESPN. Welcome back. This is Balloon Party, and it's 101 ESPN. My name's Tim McKernan. That's Jackson Burkett, and we welcome you to participate in the show. Your comfort service text line, 314-399-9646. And, of course, the YouTube chat, which is active with your mom's boyfriend, who says, if only the Cardinals could trade Torrey Krug for a pitcher. Stupid no-trade clause. That's from your mom's boyfriend.
They could possibly trade me. You know.
The Cardinals would trade you?
Yeah, I get a good return.
I agree with that, actually.
Yeah. You can get like a third crafty lefty or something for me.
Yeah. Joey Vitale was really impressed with your hockey knowledge both yesterday and today.
I surprised people.
You named Austin Matthews as a member of the Leafs, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. He does play for the Leafs.
That's right, yeah. Sometimes you got to remind the guys, like, where the guy, it's, because we're in the off season.
There's a fly in here.
I know.
Oh, has it been over there harassing you?
Yeah. There was one in the TMA studio the other day, and it was like the episode in Breaking Bad where the whole show was just dedicated to killing it.
It was a bad episode?
It was a bottle episode, that's for sure.
Bottle episode, what does that mean?
It means doesn't really move the story forward. It's all really contained. It used to be a thing that they would do when they would run out of money, but they still had to make another episode, so they'd keep it all in one place. But now, like, the best bottle episode ever would be Pine Barrens and Sopranos. That's a bottle episode.
What goes on in Pine Barrens? Spoiler alert.
That's where Paulie and Chrissy get stuck out in the forest in the overnight.
Oh, yeah.
And Bobby Bacala in his orange jumpsuit and Tony have to go save him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was an interior decorator.
Nicely done.
His apartment looked terrible.
Jackson, do you have a second question on the six-shooter? I would think you have to.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed reading Ben Fred's column today about the Mizzou football schedule. He wrote a piece that kind of shook off the easy schedule narrative, as he referenced 5 years ago that the schedule looked easy. What happened? Game 1 loss at Laramie. It was a dark time for young Piddles. He described the schedule as inviting, but it's up to the Tigers to accept the invitation, not to sound hyperbolic or prisoner of the moment, but given the momentum locally after last season, the expansion of the playoff, and the cultural firecracker of the return of NCAA football video game dropping Monday.
Woot, woot. It's Monday. Are you getting it?
If you pre-order it and pay $30 extra, you can get it Monday as opposed to next Friday. And I don't know. I'm really stuck between a rock and a hard place. Is it worth $30 to get?
$30 to you is something that if it were lying in the floor right here in the studio, it wouldn't be worth it to you to bend over and get it.
I forgot where I was. Yeah, never mind. I'll be playing it Monday. So Get ready for that. Is this the biggest opportunity of the modern era for Missouri football? We've talked about how 2019 changed hockey fandom in this town forever. Could another dynamite season for the Tigers do something similar?
Yes. The answer is yes. And that answer, which we're going to deal with throughout the course of the season here on this program, because unlike the Cardinals and Blues and City, the Missouri thing, some people are big fans, some people just hate because they aren't, whether it be an Illinois fan or maybe they, for whatever reason, went to Rock Chalk. Yeah. Whatever the case might be. Sure. It's not a unifying topic.
But it could become.
It could get more unifying.
Yeah.
I was making the observation on TMA that really, with the exception of the states of up until this year with Texas and Texas A&M, Alabama and Mississippi are the only two states in the SEC that I believe, unless I missed another one. Well, I guess you got Vanderbilt, but that has one school in the state,
right?
And so Missouri's a weird deal because the college football fandom here is more like, oh, you went to school there, or your kids go to school there. SEC states, you didn't have to go to Fayetteville to be an Arkansas fan. You didn't have to go to LSU to be an LSU Tigers fan, and so on and so forth. Florida's a little different because it's chopped up with the Seminoles and Miami and even recently UCF. So the way to get people going, and I also think another big is to win, of course, but to also win when there's expectation. And also a big thing, and I hammer it, but I mean it. God, do I mean it. When you get a big game, have it live up to it in the sense that you also have it either be in the afternoon or an evening. And that when you have a school that is a couple of hours away from its two biggest cities, an 11 o'clock kickoff, which a lot of Missouri's bigger games, including that effing LSU kickoff last year, and have been at these 11 o'clock kicks. And now the SEC, thank God, I don't know what caused it, but I know it changed. The times are announced, or at least the windows of the time. So like the Auburn game, for example, you already know it's a morning game. The Oklahoma game, which probably, I would imagine, unless Auburn is a big surprise, or I suppose Arkansas, that would really be a big surprise, is the biggest game on the home schedule. That's an evening or late afternoon game.
Yeah.
So that allows people from St. Louis and Kansas City to travel there. Ideally, I think they'd be 8-1-ish. I think that's through 9 games. Maybe it's 8 games. Bye week in between. Take advantage of that. Get people down there no matter what. The Cardinals aren't playing then. So you don't have any, you just have an opportunity.
Yeah.
And you want to capitalize on those opportunities. This is a hell of an opportunity. Bigger than 2008 coming off the 2007 season, bigger than 2014 coming off the 2013 season. I've never seen anything like it. If anything, doing television and radio in the market now for 25 years, I've always kind of been like, I'll talk Missouri, but I know it's kind of like me talking golf. There's a good portion of the audience that just doesn't care.
Yeah.
And so you just don't do it. And this year, I still don't talk about golf, but I know that people, way more people than normal in my career, are watching Missouri football and into it at this time of year. Like, oh, SEC Media Days are next week, which has always been a weird thing to me as a guy who's gone to SEC Media Days, that gets a bunch of attention. It's such a strange deal, but it kind of illustrates the WWE nature of SEC football with the coaches who are personalities and whatever somebody says, whether it be a player or a coach, and then it becomes the topic, even though it's guys sitting at a podium. But whatever, it's a big deal, and this year it's in, Dallas, right, or Arlington. So with that established, Jackson, I'm fired up. There's an opportunity. If I were to play something out in regard to Ben Frederickson's column this morning in the Post-Dispatch on Missouri and the schedule, if Missouri's sitting at 10-2, and there is another more brand name Big Ten or SEC school that Missouri didn't play, and they're up in the air against them, the drawback on Missouri will be that the schedule was weak.
Yeah.
And assuming that they lost in Tuscaloosa, and whether they lost in College Station or against Oklahoma, what is Missouri's biggest win? And they had opportunities with tests in Tuscaloosa and College Station, and they couldn't break through, or Texas A&M winds up being bad and they win there, but they lose to a good Oklahoma team. The knock on them will be the schedule, because it is, when you look at it right now, an easy schedule. But the thing that I keep going back to is, who would have seen Missouri as an 11-win team last year? So somebody, whether it be on Missouri's schedule or elsewhere in the SEC, is going to have a big year that you didn't see coming. And somebody who you're expecting to have a big year in the SEC is going to have a big disappointment. Last year, Missouri was the big surprise, pleasant. Tennessee was the disappointment. Who's it going to be this year? It's just the way that it works. And I think it even is more obvious in the transfer portal era that is going to happen. Your thoughts? Are you more fired up than normal this year? 314-399-9646. SEC Media Days are underway in a week in Texas. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. This is Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update. It's brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals were off yesterday, back in action tonight as they take on the Chicago Cubs here in St. Louis. Sonny Gray on the mound for the game tonight. 7:15 first pitch, doubleheader tomorrow. 1:15 is the first game. 7:15 tomorrow, the second game. And in NBA news, Kyle Lowry has announced on Instagram that he has agreed to remain with his hometown team, the Philadelphia 76ers. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's Blown Party. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you on the program, and it's driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. You can watch us on the studio cameras, which are sponsored by Air Alliance Team. 10:39 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. Jackson, you're in the midst of this Friday six-shooter. We've talked a lot of Cardinals. We've talked Missouri. What do you have up your sleeve now?
Let's see, Tim. Let's see what I got up my sleeve. I got an extremely macro question.
Go.
All right. Very general, very macro question here, but I promise I'm not scraping the bottom of the barrel. If you were doing a comprehensive examination of American sports right now, how would you evaluate where things are at? Do you think those in charge of the leagues and those in power would say things are going great and compare it to the earlier part of the 21st century and maybe some forecasting for the future?
I didn't follow the last part.
So if you were in charge of some of these leagues or
Right, I got that.
powers in sport, how would you compare how sports are now to the earlier part of the 21st century? And then also, how would you forecast where things are going for maybe the next decade?
Well, you know me, Jackson. I'm like Taylor in Billions.
Both shaved heads?
That's where the similarities begin.
Yeah.
And there's so many more. But everything is a mathematic equation here. And I also view it through the lens of what stocks would I buy, what stocks would I sell.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to go Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL, NBA, MLS, college football, college basketball, is there anything you'd like to include in there that I didn't? Anything you'd like to take out? Golf. Okay.
Yeah, pro golf.
Nice. All right. Fair enough. Which of those would you, if we're looking at 20-year growth, because you're a young boy,
I am.
26,
Mm-hmm.
and also you've got that trust fund. What, and that you get access to that at 30? Is that the deal?
32.
32.
In honor shack.
Okay. So if you were to go, okay, what do I think is going to have the greatest 20-year growth? What would you go with?
College football. I think not only is this year pivotal and a huge opportunity for Missouri, but I think college football in general. I think this is the year where they go absolutely crazy, both with the video game returning, which maybe I'm putting too much stock in, but I think is huge, and the 12-team playoff.
What do you think I would buy?
I think you'd probably be in the same boat as me. I think you'd be college football.
I would buy MLS.
Ooh, okay.
And my logic is, of the 8, since you included golf and I included MLS, of the 8, I think it's probably priced. If we were to have our arbitrary prices, it's probably priced at the lowest number. And I also think it has the opportunity for the highest exponential growth. I think you could see MLS teams starting to get opportunities against some of the bigger teams in the world over the next 20 years. I think what's going to take place with the World Cup will help play a role in what is already significant growth. And one of the things I have, I guess I'd say I have learned, but it strikes me as not really like the knowledge Joey Vitale was spitting today about a variety of different topics. And I'm like, I'd never heard this in my life. And this guy went to CBC.
Yeah, and he's a delight.
He's a delight, but still, I mean,
right.
you know.
He's a cadet.
Right. I'm just like, these guys don't know stuff. It's obvious. I was playing golf one time with an executive from NBC Sports, and I was asking him, we were just BSing, and I was asking him, anyway, he was talking with me, and asking him, I said, how'd the whole thing come about with you guys kind of cornering the market on soccer? And I'm not talking about MLS.
Yeah, Premier League buy.
Right.
Yeah.
And how significant that was.
Huge.
And he said something along the lines of, anytime you want to know before the rest of your peers, as in the peers in your age group, and I would guess he was probably in his 60s when this was 3 years ago, what's the move in our industry?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to your kids.
Mm.
And that's where the eyes are right now. We were at, I guess it was this past weekend, as a matter of fact, the Webster Groves Carnival or something like that, bunch of rides.
Yep.
Over by a seminary.
I have been there.
Okay. All right. So that's where we were with our two boys. My wife and I were over there. And my wife last night goes, did you notice that every kid was wearing either a city T-shirt or jersey?
Yeah.
And I go, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many kids wearing pink.
City red.
All due respect, city red.
Yeah.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Everybody's wearing it.
Exactly.
And that's where the attention is, much less before City was even in existence, how I would see more messy jerseys all over the place. These are the kids. That's just where it's going. Now, is that where my peak interest is? I'm enamored by it. I was super excited about going into it, but it's at another level. Like you 2 days ago. And then there's Joey in here, and you went the extra step by ranking the most attractive English players, and I don't know how many people are doing that. But either way,
enough.
I agree with you on that.
Thank you.
But either way, you were in your little studio and watching that game intently.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people who were. When I was texting with Joey about coming in yesterday, we were just BSing, and he goes, "Hey, I'm watching this Euro game right now. This thing's intense."
Yeah.
So if you're into it, but if you're more of a Cardinals and Blues fan, this sounds like it's BS. I understand that. I'm not saying you have to believe me. Again, I'm not running for office, so I don't really care what you think. In 2028, when I do run, I will act like I care what you think, but it'd still be the same thing. I don't care. I'll just be acting.
Right. Which will be uncommon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not very performative. So therefore, I am buying MLS.
Yeah.
And to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. I feel like you're, all due respect, a Mark-ass buster because you are buying college football at its highest price point. So what, are you going to buy some real estate in Nashville or Austin next? Give me an effing break around here. Take care of that trust fund with a little more responsibility, will you?
Well, what I'll say to that, and I think ties in, I have multiple things to say about that. With soccer, I think also we're very close to seeing foreign oil money come into the MLS, and that will change.
Oh, look at you, Yasser Al-Ramayan.
That's what changed the EPL, is when not necessarily foreign oil, but big money came into English Premier League, and Cristiano Ronaldo plays in Saudi Arabia, making a ridiculous amount of money because of that. And I think that that's going to come to U.S. soil one day, and it's either going to be in golf, which it already has, or in soccer. But what I would say on the college football thing is I think it's a stock that for sure is high price at the moment, but I think could take it could maybe not near NFL levels, but be a contemporary because of what I think the atmospheres are going to look like at those home playoff games, which will look like European soccer, to tie it all together.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take a huge I think because the NFL and football in this country is so crazy, I think the fact that college football isn't like the second most popular sports league is crazy. So I think if it becomes that, then I would get value on that stock, and that's where I think it's going.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, what you do with your money is up to you.
That's right.
And I usually can't get involved in the investment funds that you have access to. They don't want dirty South St. Louis Irish Catholic money.
We can clean that up.
I know you can clean it up, and you can wash it through your Ladue connections.
Right.
But they still somehow are able to track my dollar bills.
Yeah, I got a lot of money in orchards. I have a lot of orchards.
Is that right?
Yeah, I have a lot of orchards. Yeah, produce.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you were involved in the orchard community.
Yeah,
I guess upon looking back, it makes sense.
I'm a produce baron.
Yeah. That makes sense. What produce could you tell our audience to buy into right now?
I'm really big on the papaya.
Of course. It couldn't be like an apple or a banana.
Well, that's where I made my bones, but I'm going to advance the money. That my grandkids are going to be the beneficiaries of papaya futures.
God. That's Jackson Burkett giving you what fruits to buy. I'm giving you what sports league to buy. Which would you buy stock in right now? What do you think we would get the most? I haven't looked at the text inbox or the YouTube chat to see what most people would buy. What do you think most people would buy?
Ice hockey.
Now, you said that with like, they're not thinking, they're not educated, and they just like hockey. And so not only am I going to say hockey, but I'm going to say ice hockey.
Yeah. Well, I'm also not running for office.
It was an emotionally condescending response. That's how it came off. I'm just letting you know. After that, look at me, I own a lot of papayas futures. Comment.
I do. Sorry.
All right. Well, I'll take a look at the text inbox. Which of the 8 choices, what do you think is going to get the least amount of votes? I mean,
basketball.
Yeah.
College or otherwise. Doesn't matter. Just the sport itself.
See, as much as you know, I'm not really into college basketball. I feel like it's kind of like how I say I'll buy stock in St. Louis. It's like, well, it's at a low price point, so this is when we buy it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel like college basketball, relative to previous years, is at a low price point. I don't know what I would do with golf.
It's so dependent on what the next year even looks like.
Yeah.
You know, because at the moment I'm not buying stock in it, but I think I would.
What I would do with golf, and then NFL is obviously like blue chip.
Yeah. Golf is missing a massive opportunity, by the way. This thing going on right now is a massive opportunity missed.
Well, what do you? Well, all right, we got a break. Tell me what it is on the other side of it, because I actually don't know what you're talking about. We'll find out. It's coming up. And then what would you sell stock in on the other side of it? This is Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Yeah. 5 more minutes, Jackson. And then what are you doing tonight?
Playing golf this afternoon, so it'll go late. I love a sunset round. I call it a sunset round, not a round that's sunset, but a round where right when you're about to finish, the sun's starting to set. It's really pretty out, cooled down a little bit. It's my favorite, especially on a Friday. So that'll be basically my evening.
Okay.
Retire to my chambers afterwards.
Fine. What about tomorrow? I want to know what's going on.
I'm trying to go to the second Cardinal game tomorrow. Cardinals
look at you.
Trying to score some tickets to the second.
So you're on the air here asking for free tickets. I think that would violate the payola plugola clause in your contract.
No, I'm hoping that because sometimes ticket prices drop pretty precipitously, like a few hours before game time. So that's my hope. That's why I haven't bought tickets yet.
Okay, fair enough. So you just want somebody to like DM you, hey, Jackson, I want to hang out with you. Yeah, I've got 2 tickets.
No, I'd take my girlfriend, so I'm not looking to go with somebody necessarily.
Okay. So you just want to go by yourself?
No, me and my girlfriend. Okay. So I don't want to, but I'll be paying for my tickets.
Okay. A little suspect. For the moment, I am absolutely selling MLB. We asked the audience, what stock would you buy right now? And we include MLS and golf, along with 2 revenue-producing college sports of college basketball, college football, and then NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL. For the moment, I am absolutely selling the MLB. As much as I love baseball, they make it impossible for their fans to watch and enjoy their product. It is that reason alone that I sell. That's from the 314. But the kids at my school wear soccer or Cardinals gear and Kansas City gear. That's from the 314. Let's see. WNBA will outperform the NBA in the next decade. Suck it, artisanal powder. That's from the 314.
It's a great Twitter account that does like cell phones. And the fact that I have someone caping for the WNBA means that I've accomplished all my goals.
And the WNBA has day games during the week?
I think yesterday might have been an ESPYs thing because ESPN carries all the WNBA games. So maybe it was an ESPYs thing.
Did you watch the ESPYs?
I did not.
Do you usually watch?
No, I don't usually. Not my thing. I'm an Oscars guy.
I know you're a cinephile, but why are you not an ESPYs guy?
It seems like obviously all award shows are like pat yourself on the back, like self-made stuff. Like it's your own sports giving awards to other people in sports. But this one seems more ham-handed than the others, and the timing of which they place the ESPY awards usually after the All-Star game. This one obviously a little earlier. It seems strategic. You can yank a lot of chains, but you're not yanking piddles.
Oh my gosh! Look at that!
Yeah.
Can't sneak a breaking ball by Jackson.
Gotta wake up pretty early.
Let's see. I had 0 interest in soccer before City SC arrived. Now I'm watching MLS matches and Copa America matches. That's from the 314.
Yeah, international soccer brings the casuals into because that's it's cool. The whole countries are into it.
Rich boys trying to get cheap tickets. Sheesh. That's not a Ladue. That's a Ladon't. That's from the 636.
I can't compete against material like that. Jeez. Oh, man. Head to the Helium Club with that stuff.
All right, 10:59. I was about to expound. But the one thing I would say, because you were saying you might sell MLB, and this person texted in regarding the television situation, I just don't see a world in which that is not remedied and we're all talking about how great it is within 2 years. I don't know what it's going to be. There's just no way that this ridiculousness that has gone on the last few years will be going on in 2026. I just don't see it. So if that is your reason for selling, I actually would tell you it might be a reason to buy the stock because I think they'll get that right. Now, maybe I'm off, who knows?
Right.
But there's no way baseball can continue with the stupid-ass blackouts and, whatever goes on with that Bailey's app that was designed by a second-grade class in South City. So, nice work. All right, PK and Ferrari are coming up next for Jackson Bennett Burkett. I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. James Carlton's my insurance agent. He's a wonderful, wonderful person, and he runs an incredible insurance agency.